What's up, fishy friends? Welcome to Tim's School of Fish, and class is in session. I have a complicated relationship with case knives. I buy at least one, sometimes two, maybe 3 or 4 case knives a year. I certainly wouldn't quantify it as a lot by some standards, but I do pick up usually a couple of case knives every year. And today I want to look at one that I recently picked up from the Lizardskin series and talk to you about my complicated relationship with case. So without further ado, let's get this camera turned around and take a closer look.
Hey man, do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like button. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you very much, man.
All right, so I'm trying out this black background. I used it yesterday. My tabletop or desktop here has kind of a brownish slate gray color, and what I find is that a lot of knives and things that I'm showing get sort of washed out in the background. So I'm trying this black neutral background. I'm playing around with my lighting to try to eliminate some glare. So you guys let me know what you think about this black background. I do have one of those cutting mats that has all the lines on it that a lot of people use, but I find those lines to be distracting. So you guys let me know what you think. So this is probably my favorite case pattern. Funny story about this, I typically order all of my case knives from Shepherd Hills Cutlery. They do a fantastic job, great customer service. When I got this one in, it was in the correct box. It had the correct SKU number and everything on it. But when I opened it up, it was not the Lizardskin Barehead Trapper at all. Rather, it was the regular two-bladed trapper from the Green Apple Bone series. So I checked the number again. I checked the number on the website to make sure that it was correct. Sure enough, it was in the right box, but it was the wrong knife. So I called Shepherd Hills, explained it to them. Now, Shepherd Hills, I am sure that they get their knives in, they stock them on the shelves based on, the SKU number, the pattern number, whatever. And then when an order comes in, they pick it, pack it, and send it. I am fairly certain that they do not open every one to make sure that the correct knife is in the correct box. So I'm sure it came from the case factory that way. So I sent it back. They sent me the right one in quick order. So excellent customer service. And it just kind of illustrates my complicated relationship with case. I'm sure that it was packaged wrong at the case factory and shipped out that way. I'm 100% certain of that. So anyway, let's take a look at this knife. All right, so this is without question my favorite case pattern. I also love the full-size copper lock, especially the Wharncliffe ones. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you know that I am kind of a single blade guy. I don't mind 2 blades sometimes, but anything over 2, like a multi-blade pattern, I'm just not interested in it. When you get over 2 blades, I'm out. I've also got that DLT exclusive one with the micarta covers. That one is in carbon steel. Here is my purple barnboard copper lock with the Wharncliffe. I'm going to be grabbing that peanut butter and jelly trapper from Smoky Mountain Knife Works that also has a Wharncliffe. That's a 2-bladed one. I just prefer a single blade, but what I really like on a case knife is that Wharncliffe blade. But the thing that I think they do better than anybody is their jigged bone. Their saw cut bone, jigged bone. I just think that's where they excel. In my opinion, ROSECRAFT has the best smooth bone. ROSECRAFT has the best stag. A lot of slip joint makers do wood covers phenomenally well, but where I think Case really shines is their jigged bone. They've been doing it for so long. They do such a great job at it. Their dye job on their bone is typically very, very good. But what I don't like about Case is their fit and finish. And we'll talk more about that in just a second, but let's take a drive around this knife. We've got that stainless steel Wharncliffe blade on this one, single nail nick pull on the show side here. We've got that Case etch with 6 dots, so this one was born in 2024. On the other side, USA, we've got the model number 6154W for Wharncliffe, SS for stainless steel. We've got nickel silver pinched bolster on here. We've got brass pins. We've got that Case script shield, brass liners, stainless steel back spring. But the most gorgeous thing about this knife is that burnt green bone with the corncob jigging on it. I really like the corncob jigging. I think it is just beautiful. Also known as lizard skin. Pull on that is pretty light. It's about a 3. No half stop on this one. Nice smooth pull. Our back spring is nice and flush at the half stop. Little bit of gapping there. Good snap on that one, so good walk and talk. Fit and finish back here is pretty decent. It looks like there's some gapping, but I have looked through it. There's no light coming through. There's nothing really that stands out as being poor. We do have a tiny little bit of a gap between the bone and the liners there. That doesn't bother me so much, but here's what does bother me on this, and there's usually at least one thing on every Case knife that is poor. Look at that spring termination. What I mean by spring termination is where the spring ends, okay? It should be straight across and be at 90-degree angles and flush up against the liners. This looks like that gap-toothed fella from Deliverance.
He got a little pretty mouth, ain't he?
That is just poor. This one's not so bad on the purple barn board copper lock. It's not perfectly straight across, but it is a lot better. Here's the other Barehead Trapper from DLT. You can see same wonky spring termination. Here's what it should look like. Here's one from ROSECRAFT Blades. Do you see the difference there in just fit and finish and attention to detail? While I love Case's jigged bone, and that's really the main thing I love about Case. I love their jig bone. I love their Wharncliffe blades. I do like some of their clip point blades, Barlow, some other stuff, but this is my favorite part about Case. The jig bone, the Wharncliffe blade, that's my favorite. I'm a sucker for it every single time. But Case to me is like that toxic girlfriend. So I was married for 10 years, and then I was single for about 10 years before I met my current wife, who I've been married to now for almost 5 years. Thank God. I finally found a good one who treats me right, and she's a godly woman. But during that 10 years that I was single after my first wife, I went through one girlfriend after another, and most of them were toxic. Of course, that's my fault. I'm not blaming them. Those are the women that I was chasing after. There was some hot chicks, right? You get it. You understand what I'm saying. They were fun to be with. They liked to party, and we had a good time. But they were absolutely freaking toxic. You know, you fight all the time and you just keep coming back to them, and you keep coming back to them, and you keep coming back to them, even though you know that they're no good for you. Have any of you guys ever been through that? I know I have. I went through it for way too long. Case is kind of like that to me. It's that freaking smoke show girlfriend that you know is toxic that you know is no good for you, that you know is gonna break your heart, but you just keep coming back to her. Now, Case will say, and a lot of guys will say, oh, it's a work knife. It's not supposed to be perfect. That's just silly. Blah, 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 blah. Well, Case has a collector's club. They know damn well that a lot of people collect them just to collect them. For whatever reason, they collect them. Now, I will carry my Case knives and I will use them as very light duty knives, even more light duty than some of my other slip joints, to cut a box, cut some food, very simple stuff. Yes, I get it. They are work knives, they are users, but my thing is, have a little frickin' pride in your workmanship. When is the last time you got a Case knife that there was nothing wrong with it at all? Where the fit and finish was perfect, where there was no gapping between the liners and the spring, no gapping between the cover and the liners, where the spring termination was good, where the blade centering was perfect, where it wasn't gritty on the pull. My guess is that it's been a really long time since you got a Case knife that you couldn't find anything. And that didn't used to be the case. It just feels like to me that they are relying on their name alone, similar to Buck in many regards, because they know that they have such a rabid following that people are going to buy them regardless. And that's true. People are going to buy Case knives regardless, and they're going to justify the poor fit and finish, the poor quality, all of it. And I get it to a certain extent, but have a little pride in American workmanship, in American-made craftsmanship. If these guys in a Chinese factory can put out stuff that's quality, and those guys are going to work just to earn a paycheck, whereas these guys are going to work allegedly because they love it, that doesn't look like love to me. It just doesn't. Show a little pride in your work. Try to put out the absolute best product possible. And then a lot of guys will say, oh, well, these are handmade. You cannot expect CNC precision on a handmade product. That's partly true, but it's also not completely true. Some of it is hand done, some of it is CNC. They are not 100% completely handmade, so I don't buy that either. With all that said, I freaking love this knife. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got another copper lock on the way, that green Applebone Wharncliffe copper lock. I'm going to pick up that peanut butter and jelly trapper with the Wharncliffe. I'm still going to buy Case knives. I'm not going to buy them all like some people do, and you're never going to hear me say,
Oh, these are the best knives in the world. You don't need anything other than a Case knife.
I still love them. I think they're beautiful. I just wish Case would do better. So there you go, boys and girls. That is my newest Case knife. That is the Lizardskin BAREHEAD Wharncliffe Trapper. Beautiful knife. Of course, I have a few nitpicks as always, but like I said, I'm still going to pick up Case knives from time to time. It's my toxic girlfriend. As always, I appreciate you for watching. Give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything I've said. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Just click my logo right over there. That's it for this episode of Tim's School of Fish, boys and girls. Class dismissed.